Ladies, gentlemen, folks beyond the binary, grab your husband, wife, partner, mistress, strap on your melodramatic period piece pants, and gather around your radio. It's time for this week's meeting of the Erotic Thriller Club.
Not rude or crude, he's always tastefully nude. In this hardcore world, he's a softcore dude. His antithesis, mysterious and dangerous. And oh yes, they've got all the sexiest movies out on VHS. So if you're fatally attracted to the racier stuff, Erotic Film Club. Basically, instinctively crave the salacious. Erotic Film Club. If you want a racy movie and you're too classy for smut, Erotic Film Club. We can watch them and discuss them all ad nauseam. Erotic Film Club.
Welcome to 19th century Cuba, home of the world's most handsome, rich, gullible coffee man. How many times can a hot American catfish the same man? More than you'd think. Welcome to a world of love, sex, deceit, fake mustaches, cheating at cards, and murder. This week on the Erotic Thriller Club, Original Sin. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's meeting of the Erotic Thriller Club. As always, Garrett Callender and Kit Ryan here.
And this is where we answer the genre's three most important questions. Was I aroused? Was I thrilled? And would I ruin my life for this person?
Kit, we selected a movie
We sure
that
did.
is not good. And the reason, this was the week of my birth. And this film
Happy
came
birthday.
out on DVD the weekend of my birth in 2002. And
You
I
were not
bought a
born in
copy of this film.
2002.
Well, my birthday weekend. I'm sorry, not 1987, but it came out on my birthday weekend 2002. I was 15, and this movie said unrated on the cut and had a very sultry pair of lips. So I gave it a go. I kind of learned something about what I thought about film at the age of 15 because
What
there
did
was
you
really
learn?
there there was really only a handful of things I remembered from this movie, and that was gratuitous sex scenes, which in the unrated cut there's like 10 minutes more of, by the way.
Wow!
Yeah, you're missing out on a lot of like
Ah,
explicit banging.
dang it!
Ex- yeah, like it actually really
Ow!
sucks that the unrated cut doesn't seem to be available digitally right now. I couldn't find my disc to
Boo!
watch it, but trust me, years of Alone in the Bedroom with that one, I do remember some bits of that.
Burned
But
into your brain.
but the only other thing I remember, because at 15, I'm not really watching period pieces. That's like the pinnacle of boring
Garrett,
for
I
a
know for a
15-year-old boy.
fact you hated horsey movies.
100%.
By horsey movies, Garrett means any movie set in a time period where the mode of travel is primarily horses. Any movie that falls into that definition, Garrett hated.
And that wasn't just at the age of 15.
No, that's when I met him.
That lasted through my 20s. Or at least, like, I would say somewhere mid to late, I gave up on that and am able to appreciate a period piece. Maybe it was Downton Abbey that changed that, actually, because that was I would say, truly the first period piece that I, like, really fell in love with.
Aw, that's so nice. Thanks, Downton Abbey. You cured Garrett of his horsey hatred.
But I do think that this movie, I remember differently as being, I don't know, should I think maybe in my mind at the time, if a movie was set in a, horsey times, as we'll call
Mhm.
them, that was a classy, prestige picture.
Mm. Mhm, mhm.
I had no recollection of how shitty and melodramatic this movie was.
You thought that you were watching something classy.
In my mind, it was like, maybe this was even Oscar bait. Kit,
Why would you put a horsey in it if you're not trying to win an Oscar?
I stand by that now. In a world of Fast and Furious, what are you trying to do to me by showing me a horse? You're trying to show me that you're smarter than me and that you have a trunk full of corsets that need to get used.
A trunk full of corsets that, oh, I don't have the key for mysterious reasons.
So I did see that this movie is based off a book by Cornell Woolrich, who did write the book that Rear Window was based off of. So
Oh,
I
classy.
assume his writing is good. Truffaut made a film of this in, I believe, the 60s.
I think you're right.
And this is a very bad remake, I would imagine. I can't vouch for
But
the
they
Truffaut
but
one,
they
but
moved it to Cuba so that it would be sexier because
Cuba
it's so
is
hot.
sexy. It's hot.
Yeah.
It There's nothing sexier than a sweaty pair of corsets.
Yeah, so we start in with a map of Cuba, so you know exactly where we are. And also, just a zoom in on Angelina Jolie's big pouty lips. Like this movie is not subtle.
What's so weird is this almost certainly was the first Angelina Jolie movie that I saw. Like, I know that I had seen Girl Interrupted, but I don't know if I had seen it yet. And I
Mm.
also know I hadn't seen Hackers at this point.
Unfortunate
I
for you. One of my favorites of all time.
Tomb Raider had already been out, but even then I didn't watch that movie, but I would have been aware of her as being Laura Croft, which was, probably the pinnacle of hot at the age of 15.
Probably, yeah. I mean, those pixelated, triangle boobs. Oh, you're talking about Angelina Jolie as uh
Both, because
both, both.
she didn't have those on the cover of the video game. She was drawn much better to sell you the pixelated game. Was she good and stuff? Like, what do you like Angelina Jolie in? Because
I like her in Hackers. She's
okay,
so cute in Hackers. She's struggling here. She doesn't know how to sound old-timey without sounding British. So she sort of the accent is all over the place. She does not know how to sound old-timey at all. So she's really struggling to talk like a normal human being in this movie. When she's playing in a contemporary role, she doesn't have that problem.
okay. I think though that the entire cast struggled with that.
Yeah.
I know sometimes we like throw out a lot of lines that were dumb in a movie, but this movie, I'm giving it a full blanket. This is a terrible script. Like we would read the script if we wanted to tell you every bad line. Like
I mean,
every line is
it
bad and melodramatic and stupid.
starts off like telling you this is not a love story, but it is a story about love. Oh, for
Yes.
God's sake. Oh, come
This is
on.
one of my all-time favorite bad movies is Winter's Tale,
Oh,
which
yes.
has which I love because so much of that movie, the actors are saying dumb lines that
Mhm.
you can see in their face that they don't know what they're saying.
Mm-mm.
Like nothing like a line from Winter's Tale that comes to mind is when a guy falls in love with a dying woman and has to meet her father, and he says to the dad, "Is it possible to love someone so completely that they never die?" And the father's response is, "No."
No, you idiot. What the fuck do you think love is? What are you, stupid? It's not cancer drugs, it's love.
Can you imagine saying that to, like, a Midwest dad now? They'd be like, "Get out of my house."
I'm trying to imagine someone saying it to my dad. He would be like, "What?
The best part would
No."
be try like, the yeah, like, if John had said this to your father, and then, like, the best part would be whoever your dad had to talk to next trying to remember exactly what the line was that he said that didn't
Mhm,
make sense.
mhm. because he would immediately go and try to get, like, confirmation that he is not the crazy one.
This movie kit is a man being catfished. This is the original
Mhm,
online date gone wrong.
mhm,
And
mhm,
Antonio Banderas, rich coffee man. He
mhm.
wants a wife. So he sends, I guess, a little article to newspaper in America. I don't know what city. Just
Eh,
general America.
it is weird because she's theoretically from Delaware, and it's like, did you write to a Delaware newspaper for this? Why would you have done that? That's so specific and small. What why wouldn't you have just done it to New York or something? So
I
you're
like
is the there I do not think there were nationally syndicated newspapers at the time. So I am confused.
yes. And there's a lot of things like that in this movie where it's just this is weird. This is weird that
Mhm.
this happened, but I love him explaining to his friend his situation, and his friend basically I wish I had the exact line, but he's like, "Are you sure you don't want to just keep being with whores?"
Yeah, yeah. He's like, but this one's ugly. And he's like, I don't care if she's ugly. She's just supposed to, like, make me children. And I'm like, do you not want your children to be good looking? What are you talking about, sir? How do you think children happen?
The most handsome man in Cuba wants a wife so bad that he's just sending letters to put in the paper in, I guess, every state on the East Coast or all, I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
And he's got the first person that responds that he had a nice, exchange of letters with is an ugly woman who we do see later in the film, and I would even call her attractive.
Yeah, they insult this woman. It's like she's only ugly if you set her next to Angelina Jolie. And there's no reason anyone should have anticipated that Angelina Jolie was an option. So, like, if you're writing a letter and getting some random bitch from Delaware, you should be pretty happy with the one you got. She's pretty good looking.
Well, and I think that is basically why he is the way he is the rest of the movie. He shows up and he's like, "But you're not ugly." And
Yeah.
and the meaning of this where she's like, "Well, I wanted you to like me for me, so I sent a picture of an ugly broad."
I
And he said,
reverse
"Well,
catfished you and pretended to be ugly." And he's like, "That's so sexy. I reverse catfished you and pretended to not be as rich." And she's like, "Perfect."
just two hot liars." And also, what
Mhm.
was the ugly woman going to Cuba for? Just a change of pace?
Well, I mean, what do you mean? She was going to get married. She's ugly, Garrett. There were no prospects in Delaware for an ugly woman.
And at least now we're somewhere with a very nice climate.
Yes, exactly.
I would
It's
say
all the
pretty big
cigars and coffee.
red flag, and but he immediately she's like, oh, Angelina Jolie's like, "But, we have time to get to know each other." And he, "No, we don't. We're actually getting married at 9." Which
Yeah.
is so now they're married to a
Yeah,
hot lady.
he lied. He told his buddy, like, listen, I'm gonna get married at 9 and I can be at work by 10. And they did not. They partied all day, all night. And it looked like a pretty fun party, I have to say.
It was a nice party, and I don't believe that Antonio Banderas doesn't know how to dance.
I wrote the same thing right here. I don't dance. Bullshit. No way. No way a man that handsome doesn't know how to dance. Simply impossible. Simply a man that sexy, he oozes charisma. That man can dance. Don't you dare lie to Angelina Jolie and tell her you can't dance.
Is it kind of one of those, like, even though it's nice, it's still a not nice stereotype that all handsome Latin men can just dance?
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's like assuming that, all Asian people are good at math. Maybe you're not supposed to say that even though it's a nice thing because it's still a harmful stereotype. But I don't think we're going based on a harmful stereotype. I'm looking at Antonio Banderas, not just any handsome Latin man, specifically him. Look at him. Look at the way he moves. He has a natural grace to him,
Well, I mean, the last movie we watched him in, he couldn't make a lady come either. So
which we took as slander.
in this movie, he plays just a pud. He's such an idiot. He
He
is.
is.
It makes it so easy. It looks like I can't believe
He's a
that
himbo, Garrett. He's handsome and sexy and a little dumb.
even though she's throwing out so many red flags, where like the first night they don't sleep together, which is fine. They just met each other like an hour ago.
He's a sexy, sexy gentleman, and he's like, "I'll wait for you as long as it takes until you're ready to have sex with me."
But what is it? The first morning he said she's drinking coffee and he's like, "Wait, but you only drink tea in the morning." And she has to lie because she doesn't know anything that was going on in these letters
Nope, not a
between him
single
and the
thing. So she's like, "Oh yeah, my sister thinks coffee is a sin." And so since she was watching me write the letters, I lied and said that I don't like coffee.
he's colorblind with puss right now is what's
It's
happening.
true. It's true. And now they start to get to know each other biblically.
Yeah, yeah, the sex scenes in this movie, Kit, you do see a lot of nudity
Yeah, you
and
do.
a fair amount of throughout.
This should have been his other red flag, as if the first two red flags were not red enough. The fact that this is clearly not her first rodeo. This woman is doing different positions. She's going down on him. She is acrobatic in her sexual positions. There is no way this woman is a shy Delaware virgin. How could you for 1 second think that after having sex with her?
It's fun. I wish they had gone even though the unrated cut is basically 10 extra minutes of sex, I wish they had gone a little because they are just turning their bodies into pretzels in
Mhm.
this. They're running through the Kama Sutra. They are I wish we got, like, some goofy ones like in Crank 2 where he's, like, giving her the wheelbarrow and and, like, just make it
She's
weird.
saving that for the second time they have sex. She doesn't want to give
What's
it away.
what's funny is at 15, I was such a movie nerd that every movie I got after I watched it, I would watch it again with director's commentary, no matter what it was really, just because I was interested in filmmaking.
Mhm.
The only thing I remember from this director's commentary is during the sex scenes, the director, he really kinda got into the weeds on some of this. Both of them refused to, wear a cock sock or, like, the modesty patch or whatever, so these 2
They
were
wanted to
full
be
naked.
naked. Oh,
They
I
wanted to
love
be
that.
naked. He was married to Melanie Griffith,
Mhm.
and it was one of those things where it was really just them, the
Was she with
director.
was she with Billy Bob Thornton at the time?
So she did get married to him partway through this production, but I don't know. Theirs was like one of those crazy quick marriages. I don't think they dated for a long time before they
Mhm.
just like quickly got married and got weird together.
Mhm.
And there were rumors as this movie filmed that one, because it was only them, the DP, and the director, I believe, in the room for these crazy sex
As
scenes.
it should be, you don't you try to get as many unnecessary crewmen out as possible, like, so
And
the
it seemed like
directors are
feel
more comfortable.
comfortable. Well,
Yeah.
they maybe got a little too comfortable because even the director isn't
Yeah!
for sure if they actually had sex or not.
Maybe it slipped inside, maybe it didn't. Listen, they're both consenting adults. I may have accidentally shot hardcore pornography today.
Kit, the director in the commentary jokes about how the 2 of them were joking about what would happen if something accidentally happened, and, like, I think they seemed so flirty that people weren't convinced they weren't in a relationship while they filmed this movie.
I mean, I could see that. They're both very good looking.
These are two of the most attractive humans on the planet
Yeah, in their
being asked to
prime.
mash parts, like,
Mhm,
for long
mhm,
periods of time. There's
mhm,
no way that Antonio Banderas, even with 2 other people in the room, didn't you can't. You can't well,
mhm,
he's human.
mhm.
What I remember from the unrated cut that is different is maybe more crazy positions and a lot more of each of them going down on each other, which is usually the quickest way to
Yeah.
get an NC-17.
Yeah, it's funny to me that the MPAA thinks that going down on someone uh is more scandalous than sex when I'm pretty sure it's not the full base, right? Like that's like third base. That's not a home run.
I think it just shows where the MPAA's head is and what their thing is.
This is your specific kink, MPAA.
Or maybe somebody in charge isn't their significant other isn't doing that, and they're like, "Well, if they won't do it, then no
Oh,
one gets to see it."
nobody. I won't let anyone know it even exists. Of
And I love that we
course.
get a little scene with his coworker who's just like, "I thought you would have found your way back to whores by now."
And he's like, "Have you seen my wife? Why would I ever need a whore? My wife is Angelina Jolie."
The amount of times that the word whore is thrown out, it
Mhm.
feels I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Dirty Work with
I
Norm
have not.
Macdonald. It has to set the record for the most times the word whore has been said in a PG-13 movie. And I was just picturing a remake of this with Norm Macdonald, like, "Yeah, there's a lot of whores around here."
So yeah, they go to the theater and he sees her chatting up Mephistopheles or whatever backstage, and he's getting like, if I swear to God, if you took a shot every time Antonio Banderas is following his wife to see what she's up to, you would pass out before the movie was over. It is
Those
so
side
much of
shots of her
this.
walking from a distance is,
Hmm.
yeah, the film time on this movie, like, they ran through so much film getting through that, just side
Absolutely.
shots. I love,
And
though, how easy it was
so,
for him to get backstage at this play.
oh yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, is nobody gonna stop him?
Like, if you go to Broadway right now, like, it makes it seem like it'd be pretty easy to just end up backstage with Bill Burr at Glengarry Glen Ross.
Well, this is oldie times, Garrett. Things were different, I
Less
guess.
security.
Yeah.
9/11 hadn't happened yet, so there's that.
You didn't have to take your shoes off before going backstage. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, yeah, we're still, like, 100 years or plus away from 9/11, so, just a little different. Didn't get wanded as you go
Yeah,
through.
exactly. So we find out that he's been getting letters from the sister of his bride, being like, "Why have you not told me you're alive, that you made it there in one piece, that you're married, that you weren't kidnapped and sold into white slavery? Like, come on, girl." And he's like, "Listen, I know you don't like your sister, but you should probably write her back." And so that's not a red flag for him. Neither is the fact that she has random night terrors and weird cuts on her back. None of this is going to slow him down. He's going to give his wife full access to his personal and business accounts so that she can buy a new wardrobe. Cuz he just now noticed that she hasn't changed her dress. Garrett, it has been weeks, and she is wearing the same dress she wore when she got off the boat. Even in ye olde times. That is insane.
Once again, they stink. They're in Havana or wherever, and she's just sweating in
It's so
layers.
hot in layers. And he's like,
I
"Hey,
also
what about all the clothes in your wardrobe?" "Oh, I lost the key." That's not a red flag. That's not a red
neither
flag at
is
all.
neither is them taking a bath, her boobies floating on top of the water. He's
It was
loving it, having a great time.
beautiful.
bird is chirping, her
The
bird.
fact that
She's
she smells of cigar smoke, he's not gonna think about that. He's like, "Why do you smell like a cigar?" And she's like, "I wanted the taste of you in my mouth." And he's like,
uh,
"That's hot."
the fucking bird singing, and she's like, "I hate that bird." And he's like, "But it's your
He's
bird.
it's your
You
bird.
brought the bird."
And then the bird's suddenly dead.
Next scene. Next
Next
scene.
scene, bird's dead.
The housekeeper's like, "Its neck is broken. How could that have happened?"
And he's like, "I don't know, just hide the bird.
It
Don't
is
tell
just
my wife."
the just how quickly these red flags are rolling in is it's becoming a giant snowball coming down a hill that's about to crush a town, and all he sees are
Thomas
those lips.
Jane Thomas Jane is here with a silly little mustache, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a PI paid by the sister of your wife, and she really wants to know if she's alive or not. So I'm gonna need to have dinner with y'all. Is that cool?" And Antonio Banderas is like, "Yeah, I guess so. Sure, sure."
Tom Tom Jane's performance in this movie is insane. He is maybe the most insane of any of the other actors in this movie, but it is also because of the way this character is written, Kit.
Oh
When
yes,
'Cause he's like, "I'm a detective and very gay." And no
yes.
one he it's like he want it's like I saw a video the other day of a guy in a MAGA hat walking around at Disney World that's like, "No one's gonna fight me on this." Like, no one is yelling like, no one's starting to fight with him because 'cause you're at Disney World and you're
You're at
being
Disney World.
weird.
I'm not gonna fight you in front of my children, you weirdo.
But this guy keeps throwing out in the 1800s at Antonio Banderas like, "I'm really gay," and,
I'm
like, he just
gay.
doesn't react to it because he doesn't care.
No, Antonio Banderas is like, that's one less man I can worry about fucking my beautiful wife. Seems like a not a problem to me.
I don't know if that was an actual piece of dialogue or not. Is that a thing that was said?
No, I made that one up.
I would have believed you. I would
I
have
would.
believed you that it's like
Nope, nope. No. He's just like, yeah, that's sure. Why? Like, I care. I'm meeting you in a whorehouse. Do I look like I have a whole bunch of morals?
ugh.
We occasionally do cut to the framing device, like, which I had forgotten about entirely. Had you forgotten the framing device until the next time it brought up? Like, oh, by the way, when we zoomed in on her lips in the beginning, she was in prison.
That the way they spliced that in made it very confusing.
Hmm.
They didn't yeah, because it just came back several times throughout the movie, but not in a way that was very clear what was and I know that's, like, kind of the point, but almost I would even to a fault, where maybe I didn't need this information yet.
I didn't need any of it. I really didn't. I mean, I guess it comes back in that, like, she's telling the story to the priest, and then the priest is important at a certain point in a minute, but, like, it waits so long to bring it back that you've completely forgotten that apparently she's telling this story from prison.
'Cause it
Okay.
does drop the narration fairly often. Like, when the narration comes up, you forget that this is that kind of movie, that there is sometimes a narrator.
Absolutely, 100%. And then we suddenly see the sister is here. And that's not a red flag to him either, by the way, that the sister both called in a PI and showed up in person. Like, that should have
Mhm.
been a weird sign. Why didn't he ask, like, why didn't you just wait for that PI to come back to you with this information? He does not mention the private investigator to the sister, and so therefore never thinks anything of it. Instead, he's like, "What do you mean you got a letter from your sister and you feel weird about it? She wrote you the letter. I saw her do it." And she's like, "This isn't my sister's handwriting. I am not crazy. I know it's ye olde times, and you think I'm a hysterical woman, but I am telling you, this is not my goddamn sister." And then there's like dramatic slow mo. He gets
The
on the
cut,
horse and he's screaming.
Kit. This was my favorite part of the
I knew
entire
it would
movie
be. I knew it would be. More so than the
because
boobs floating in the bathtub.
the cut of him realizing that this woman has catfished him to him going what felt like 100 miles an hour on a horse coming straight at the barrel of the camera as bongo music with
Mhm.
screaming on top of it is the
Mhm.
soundtrack. I was crying. You like, I am not folks, of anything that I might exaggerate that happened in this movie, no, the one thing I am not exaggerating on is how fast this goddamn horse was running. Like, it looked like somebody in a space simulator that's, like, getting ready for a launch, like, his face is blowing back, the music is insane. Like, this horse died at the end of this run. Like,
Secretariat never went this fast, I'm telling you.
oh my god, like, oh, I can't, like I couldn't even tell, like, did they speed up the film? What is
I don't
happening? Or did they
know.
just
I don't they just got the world's fastest horse and then had to
and
shoot it afterwards because it was useless to them all.
and also, it's clearly him actually writing it. So if I met
Oh,
Antonio
yeah!
Banderas, I'd be like, "How fucking scared were you on that horse? There's no way you were
Not at
prepared for the
all.
speed that that
Not at
fucking thing
all.
was going."
No, Antonio Banderas is a consummate professional, and, he you can tell in his soft brown eyes that he has a way with animals.
Well, he didn't have a seat belt on. I don't know how he didn't fly off.
He didn't need a seatbelt, he needed, like, a full harness like you do get on a spaceship.
He was just in, like, one of those suits that you can put on and get attacked by a bear. But yeah,
So
he
yeah, he
shows up.
comes home and Angie has as they say in no brother where art thou, RUNNOFT, she's run off.
Oh, okay. He's like, as they say in ye olde times, stole all his shit.
She left him like $50 in the bank account because if she had to close it entirely, that would have required his signature. But to leave like a buck 60 in there was fine.
Just a man who married a woman that he just met that clearly isn't the woman. We've had at least 9 red flags, but he's like, "Give her full access to my bank accounts." I mean, what's she gonna do? We're
Business
in
accounts too.
Cuba.
It's fine. It's fine. She's my wife. We're in Cuba. Cuba's not that big. How far could she go? Um, his servants are still there. That was the thing that surprised me. I was like, you can't pay those people. They should leave you. And he is sitting there staring out the window like Bella Swan, just bereft.
Oh, for the next little bit, like, you have never seen a man more distraught, disheveled, like, the
Hmm.
5 o'clock shadow he grew in about 15 minutes after finding out that
He grew it
that
on
he's
the
poor now.
horse.
It was actually time travel. That's how fast the goddamn thing went. And hey, that actually goes back to some dialogue at the beginning of the movie, which is where
Hmm.
she says, "Why did you choose an American wife?" And he says, "Here we are in the past, there you were the future." So
Hmm.
maybe that alluded to the time traveling horse.
There's time traveling horse that made his beard grow in. Yeah, so he's like, I gotta go to a hooker and feel better. And it's like, sir, you cannot afford a hooker. She took all of your money. Like, what are you doing?
He spends his last $10 from his bank account on that.
Yeah, he
Like,
did. He
I
took his
expect
last $10 and he bought a hooker and he just happened to run into Thomas Jane there again. And Thomas Jane's like, have you tried being gay though? And Antonio Banderas is like, no, I haven't tried being gay.
what's crazy though is while he's having that conversation with him, it's once again just like him. He slips in. He's like, I'm not really interested. He's like, for the best sex, it needs to be with a man. But Antonio Banderas is so sad he doesn't even hear it.
He's not paying attention. And So it turns out that she came on the boat with the actors, and Thomas Jane's dropping hints like she probably killed the real Delaware lady that you were supposed to marry and took her place. Like, that's kind of fucked up, right? Antonio Banderas is like, yeah, totally fucked up. I definitely don't want her back.
He like raises a gun. Antonio Banderas' feelings are confusing in this because he's like, I love her more than anything. I am going to shoot this bitch in the head.
Listen, he's a man with a lot of feelings, and I respect that in a man.
You know what I appreciated about this little bit of the movie was we didn't I loved that we had Thomas Jane there because
Mhm.
it cut out because this movie's already too long at 2
Oh
hours.
yeah. God, yes.
This cut out 20 minutes that would have been
Mm.
Antonio Banderas having to be dumb Batman.
Yeah. Finding out like who was this woman? Why was she here? What happened to the real lady that I now have no interest in her fate because even though I exchanged all these letters from with her and I liked her enough to want to marry her, I care about her not at all now that she is dead. All I want is Angelina Jolie and her perfect breasts.
I love that you get Tom Jamie like, "I made a couple phone calls, I interviewed 3 people, and here's exactly what happened. They all saw that lady get on the boat, they saw Angelina Jolie, they saw them together, that lady was gone, and now she has her bird. This is clearly what happened.
Makes sense
Sorry,
to me.
pal. All checks out."
So he's like tracking her down, and it's carnival time, and I want to just have a brief moment to point out how much I loved the terrible extra acting there was during the
Mm.
carnival. There were some people who clearly were not told what exactly they were supposed to do. I don't think they knew that the cameras were running at the time. They're just sort of bobbing in a very like modern way to the music. Like they're what is it, like shoegaze dancing. There's no sense. Some people are like, yeah, it's carnival, and some people are like, are we doing, is it going, am I supposed to, did he say action?
Do you think that they shot the scene without, like, any noise?
I don't know because it doesn't seem like some people are partying to an entirely different beat than
They're
others.
they're basically like, "Okay, we need you to dance like it's carnival. Unfortunately, the only music we have to play for you is the, bongos and screaming song that Antonio Banderas rode the horse to." Because know that it's not Antonio Banderas screaming, it is the lyrics to that score.
We hired
So
professional screamers for this one.
so everybody just has to act how that song makes them feel.
And some people it makes them wanna rock out, and some people are just, like, shuffling.
It's truly like some college acting class shit where it's like, dude,
But how does it make you feel? Yeah,
makes me
so
feel like
he's
riding a 100-mile-an-hour horsey.
so he overhears her fishing for a new man, and now he's watching, waiting, and sees his wife, theoretically, although I guess not legally, since she wasn't using her real name. I don't think they're legally bonded in the eyes of God and the Cuban government.
I was
But
hoping you were gonna just finish out that Blink 182 lyric. He's watching, waiting,
waiting, I was
commiserating.
so tempted. But the only person to commiserate with is Thomas Jane. And he sees that she's got a new man. This man is a sex pest, and she kicks him out, makes him wait, and boom, who's Billy? I see you're writing a letter to Billy. Who's Billy? Is he another man that you're fucking, that's not me? And God, she has this goth eyeshadow on because it was under her cool carnival mask, and it is she's so gorgeous, and it's so unperiod appropriate. She looks great. I love it. And she's like, "Yes, I did. Okay, I didn't kill the lady. My lover killed the lady, and it was all his idea. He made me do it." And he starts slapping her around, and he's
Those
like,
slaps looked real.
"They looked really painful."
Like, I don't know that they weren't. That looked like a, "Okay, if we're really gonna fuck in this movie, you also have to punch me in the face."
I am all about realism. I want your cock really inside me, and I want you to really slap me across the face. Um, and then like there's the I don't know. The editor clearly thought they were doing something dramatic and cool with all of these like quick cuts that just make it feel really jarring and ruin the sense of place because people are just slightly in a different position than before the cut. It's
Yeah.
very disorienting and dumb. It looks dumb. I don't know how else to say it. It looks cheap and shitty.
Can you, off the top of your head, think of a period piece that sucks more than this one?
Ooh.
Because
Not
I mean,
offhand. Because
even
if
just
I
like
watch a period piece, it's usually a classy one. I'm not often watching schlock that is
can
set
you
in ye olde
imagine
times.
yeah, can you imagine if Atonement sucked this much?
Yes, I can. And it would I don't know, it might be fun.
But yeah, she tells him her real name, she's from St. Louis, her name's Bonnie
Her
Castle, which is a made-up name.
Yeah, that's the other thing is she's a foundling, right? She's like, "Me and Billy are foundlings from St. Louis." And he gave me my name. I'm like, "Wait, weren't you both infants? If you're a foundling, then
Wouldn't
wait,
your
what do
name
you
be Goo
mean?
Goo Gaga?
What yeah, what do you mean I'm sorry, are you telling me that this orphanage found two children and we're like, "Oh, well, we'll name this one Billy and this one we won't give her a name. You're just girl until someone else comes up with a name for you." And then he sees a postcard and he's like, "It says Bonnie Castle, and so that's what I'm gonna name you." What
What
does
was his
that mean?
what was his plan? Because, okay, so when she robbed him, the only thing she left there was the wedding ring.
Yeah,
And he brought it with him. And
yeah,
after they bang again, after this, where he's like, "I hate you, I hate you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you so much, I can't fucking breathe." And
yeah,
he puts the wedding ring on her finger, but he also came with the gun. Was
yeah.
like,
He didn't
was it just
know
like,
which
"I'm
one.
gonna feel it out"?
He wanted to keep his options open, Garrett. He wanted to feel out the moment and see what she was gonna say. If she was like, "Yes, I killed that bitch and I stole your money and I don't give a fuck," then he would have shot her. If, on the other hand, she had said, I don't know, the exact thing she did say, he gives her back the ring. Also, Billy swapped out the gun anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the detective meets him for breakfast, and they're really cut into gross food mouth. Like, the food is
Mm,
being cut in a gross way, it's going into his mouth in a gross way. Like, I'm very disgusted throughout this, and he basically is like, "Just one moment." He finds out that Angelina Jolie is a fugitive and that the lady was found dead with a knife in her throat.
yeah, yeah.
And he's like, "Just one moment, I must take a piss," and leaves. Goes to his wife, is like, "We gotta get the fuck out of here," and
Gotta get the fuck out.
immediately Tom Jane follows him up the stairs and is like, "Hey, bitch, I knew you didn't have to pee. I'm
I
following
knew.
you. I got you." And as he's like holding Antonio Banderas against a wall, screaming at him, he's kissing him.
It was amazing. That was the
Loved it.
best part. I loved this moment as much as you loved the horsey, the turbo horse, because Thomas Jane's like, "I bet you still taste like her," and then he starts kissing him, and it's like it's like the straightest and gayest thing he could have possibly done in that moment.
Because throughout the movie, as he is just like, "Well, I'm a detective who likes cock," and just keeps saying stuff like that to Antonio Banderas. Antonio Banderas never acknowledges, no sells everything. He is now getting screamed at and made out with. And
Mhm.
once again, no selling. It's like this isn't happening.
No, he can only think about those beautiful pouty lips. That's all he's got on the mind. And I have to point out though that this house that they're in at this point is so beautiful with this gorgeous courtyard. Like
Oh, yeah.
I was having major house lust. And then that's the other thing. It looked almost exactly like a hotel that John and I stayed at in Havana. Like, they didn't shoot this in Cuba, they shot it in Mexico, but,
Oh,
like,
okay.
they found the exact right Spanish architecture. It doubles perfectly. It's beautiful. It's a very lovely movie in that, like, there's some really nice looking um locations. But yeah. So he shoots Thomas Jane.
So many times to the point that I was like, I had to think. I'm like, I need to ask Kit, did guns suck in the 1800s? How many
Yes.
times did you have to get shot before it? Because the first time he got shot, like he no sold it the bullet in his chest, like Antonio Banderas no
Well,
sold that kiss.
Antonio Banderas kept shooting him because no matter how many times he shot him, no blood seemed to come out. So he felt like he had to keep shooting him for him to really be dead. Because along
But
with not noticing all these red flags about his wife, about the detective, he also doesn't notice that corpses don't bleed as much as he would have expected them to.
he's never killed anybody, and he's kind of
Mhm.
dense.
Yeah, he's like, I just killed a man, and Angelina Jolie says, and I
Th-
just bought a hat.
that should have been the tagline on the poster.
It's so good. She delivers this whole monologue about like, I bought a hat. I don't go around just thinking about over and over again, like, I bought a hat. I bought a hat. So what? I bought a hat. I know I did it. I don't need to keep thinking about it. Why are you still hung up on the fact that you killed a man? It's like, damn, girl.
The single greatest piece of dialogue in this movie. The single greatest. That was that line,
It's
like,
so
my eyes got
good.
wide. That's so good. That actually might be a good line.
I can't tell. I genuinely can't tell if it's really good or really bad.
All I know is it sucks that this is the movie it ended up in.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not wrong about that. And so she's like, "You need to go get train tickets. We got to get out of Dodge. I'll take care of the body." And then she goes over to Thomas Jane's body and pulls off his little fake mustache. Garrett, why the fuck did he need a fake mustache? Antonio Banderas didn't know what the real him looked like. The only
I
person who knew what the real him looked like would be Angelina Jolie, and clearly a mustache wasn't gonna change that. Why on earth would he need a fake mustache?
I do have an
Who
answer
is
for that,
this for? Okay, go ahead.
because he's an actor, right? Was he
Hmm.
part of so he's an actor, and also batshit insane,
This
and
was
he
helping him get into
needed
character. He needed this as like a method acting thing. Like I can't be this detective without a shitty little detective mustache.
yes, and the whole time you think the mustache sucks, and then it turns out to be fake. But when the mustache is removed and we now have the real bad guy of the movie, he is
Mhm.
Joker level fucking crazy the
Mhm.
rest of the movie. And it showed how he was a good actor.
You know what? Yeah. That's why
You know how
his
hard it is
his
to hide that crazy?
that's why he had like a major part in the play. He's good at it. And so the mustache was fake, the gun was fake, but what's not fake is how much he wants Angelina Jolie. He's like, "You're a whore, so you should be with me and not Antonio Banderas."
It tickles my dick when you beg. I believe is a line he says to her in that at some point.
He's
"You're
like
such a good whore, Bonnie."
he's like fingering her and she's like not into it but is into it and she's like I guess I'll have sex with you. I don't know. He's like, "Listen, you need to keep pumping this guy for money cuz clearly he has enough money to run away with you. So like, eh? You should still get money out of him," which is a bad idea. You left him like 20 bucks, most of which he has spent already on whores.
But what they were going after is he's like, he still owns part of this coffee business that's doing well. Get him to sell the coffee business, and then we'll just take the rest of that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, that's what they said. Like, that was the
Yeah,
plan.
that's the
Because he
plan. It just
signs the
doesn't seem like a smart plan since this guy seems real volatile and tried to shoot you once already. And I don't think you're going to keep getting away with the I swapped his bullets for blanks every time this man wants to shoot you.
but he loves this woman so much that he doesn't care about his own well-being. Like, he doesn't give a shit. Like, he's a fucking
Yeah.
idiot, and you can catfish this guy 9 or 10 times if you wanted.
Yeah, that's true. And he's like, listen, and you can't stay with Antonio Banderas because you guys are going to now be fugitives from the law. And he seems like he's going to be bad at it. Like it doesn't have a lot of street smarts. I don't think he's going to be able
No.
to handle it. And Thomas Jane was
I
100% correct on that
Oh,
point.
yeah. Oh, yeah, he's losing it, and I loved when he takes the shit from his work. He basically robs the safe, but leaves a paper that's like, "I'm selling the rest of the company to you for all the shit I took out of the safe. It's a good deal." And the guy catches up to him to be like, "What the fuck's going on?" And he goes, "Murder. I've done a murder." And
I killed a man for Angelina Jolie, and the guy's like, "I can see it. Yeah, I get it, man. Well, you do what
alright,
you
see
gotta
ya.
do."
I love though that he's literally the dialogue was murder, "I've done a murder."
I've
And
done
then
a
in my
murder.
head, the Ron Howard Arrested Development narration popped into my head that just said, "He hadn't done a murder."
It's true. He's so like torn up on the inside, and technically, he doesn't need to be a fugitive at all. She's a fugitive because people think she murdered the lady on the boat, but like he's fine.
He doesn't know that, but he is. He's, absolutely fine. And we get to Kit, one of the only other scenes I remembered in this movie from 2002.
Hmm.
So basically, she's like, "I'm gonna teach you to be a con artist like I am. That's how
Yes.
we're going to live as con artists." This They're basically gonna be like, "We're fixing poker games. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
every like, all of my signals are gonna be as subtle as the manager of a baseball team giving the pitcher directions."
They really are. They're so you might as well be like a ref, like doing like the big like field
Arm
goal
jet
arms.
like,
Like they're
pulling earlobes, like,
huge. She's like, if he has nothing, I'll just draw my finger across my throat like he's dead. And it's like, you don't think anyone's gonna notice this? Yes, you're standing behind the person with the cards, but it's a round table. Everyone else can see you.
what? Okay, so he wins all the hands of cards, and eventually a guy is just like, "You need to get your wife the fuck out of here." And he's like, "I do not. This is my house." And he goes, "Well, you're cheating at fucking cards because this isn't subtle."
Hmm.
So they beat his ass.
Yeah, they beat his ass, and it is at this moment that she's like, I can't keep being with this man. He can't even cheat at cards right.
And what's funny is so they beat his ass, throw him out of the room, and everybody fucks her. But like,
Yeah.
I just saw the new Statham movie, A Working Man, and David Harbour has a line in it that he says to Statham, "You killed your way into this mess. Now you got to kill your way out of it."
Mm.
And that's what she did, but with fucking.
Yes, she fucked her way in, and so like, is her fucking them like payment for them not killing her husband, or like does she get to keep the money because she fucks them? because like she's it doesn't seem I don't know why she's fucking all of those men, I guess is my point. It doesn't look like they're attacking
It
her.
is. It is
Is it?
absolutely sexual assault, but she doesn't seem to care
That's
because
the weirdest part. And neither apparently did Antonio Banderas. Like all these men have attacked his wife and he's just like, "Oh, that sucks. I guess we're not good at cheating at cards, huh, hun?"
I loved it though where she's like, "Well, they beat his ass. They didn't kill him, and if I just have sex with all of them, they aren't gonna kill me, and this is also my job sometimes." So,
This
like,
is her
you're
job
right. They
sometimes,
keep
clearly.
yeah,
I
maybe
don't
his
know if they
pockets were filled with all that money that he had just won, and they're like, "Well, I got something out of it at the end of the night, I guess."
listen, it was just a roundabout way of getting a hooker.
Absolutely sexual assault, though, I wanna point that out. Like, I'm not, like I just think the weirdness of it is that she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, she does not. It is very strange, and I guess that's like sad and supposed to be
It
like, oh,
is.
clearly this has happened enough times to her in her life that like this isn't a big deal. It's weird it's not a big deal to Antonio Banderas, who presumably has never had this happen to him before.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think this would upset him even a tenth as much as him thinking he has killed a man. Nope.
Well, their life does suck now because they are poor and living in
Mhm.
squalor, and their house has rats, and that
Yep.
bothers her, so she's gonna go hit up Walgreens at 9 PM.
I gotta buy rat poison at 9 p.m. It's not a big deal. Chill. And so of course he's following her. Duh.
To the whorehouse.
Yeah, and
I
it
thought she
is
was just
like
tricking again. I thought she was just that's how
I
they
thought
were
so
paying
too.
rent.
That she's like, this guy sucks at cheating at cards, so I guess I'm just hooking to pay the bills. But no, she's there to meet with Thomas Jane.
Who's
And
insane.
yeah, and at that point, Antonio Banderas should probably have feelings also about the fact that, like, I didn't kill a guy. Hey, I've been on the run and sold my business and all of this for a murder I didn't commit. But no, he doesn't have
He's like
thoughts about that. He's too busy having thoughts about, oh no, I think my wife is plotting with her boyfriend to kill me. Well, I guess I'm okay with that.
but, okay, can you explain to me this? So we see Tom Jane and Angelina Jolie have sex, and while he's doing it, he's cutting another notch into her back.
Yeah.
So
I
what
don't know
is
what those
that?
were. It is weird that that is not explained because they draw attention to it twice. You're right. Like first when Antonio Banderas sees the scratches on her back, and then we see Billy actually like putting the marks on her. And I don't know. Is it like men other than him she's had sex with? Is it like people
How
that
many times he's
scams?
had sex with her, which is kinda
God,
low,
I that would be really low if they've been together since they were 15.
yeah, I didn't get it, like, other
Is
than
it the
he's
number of
insane.
scams they've done? Is it just like every so often he gets a wild hair up his ass and he's like, Today's a day I want to carve a mark in my lady."
It to me, that just felt like Joker shit.
Yeah, it's really unnecessary. It's just to like in case you didn't think that Antonio Banderas was the good guy and this guy's the bad guy. We will show him doing more bad guy things. Don't worry,
And
we
just
got it.
know that while this is happening, we have cut back and forth to Angelina Jolie in prison more times, talking to this
Hmm.
priest,
Yes.
and we see that she's going to be, her death is going to be by garroting, which
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with so I had to see what my name meant as a murder.
Yeah, and how do you feel about it?
Uh, it says like a strangulation with an iron collar or length of wire or cord. He's been garroted with
Oh, like a
piano
garrote.
wire was the
Like when the
garrote.
mafia
Okay.
yeah, when the mafia guy comes up behind you with his piano wire. Like that's garroting you.
garroting. Okay. I when I read that, or I don't even know if they said it in dialogue. Maybe I read it and had not heard that word out loud. I was like, "Oh, that seems kind of badass for my name."
Good for you. It's your
I felt
birthday,
pretty good.
and your name is a method of murder. So yeah, he's like, "Babe, are you poisoning my coffee with rat poison?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'm gonna drink it because I love you so much."
You dumb asshole.
No,
He's just like,
it's good though. It's so romantic. He's like, "I love you," and she's like, "No, you don't. You don't even know who I am." He's like, "Yes, I do. I love you. Not the person you pretended to be, not the dumb name your boyfriend gave you. You, Angelina Jolie, who is extremely hot and has extremely acrobatic sex with me. You are the one I love."
the woman whose lips are as ample as her breasts. I will never find another like thee. And if this is what you want, then I'm gonna drink your rat poison tea and fuck off to heaven.
And she's like, "No!" and knocks it over, and it's wild. This whole
I
thing.
The end of this movie's dumb. Not like the end, which is
No, all of it's
oh,
dumb,
it
Garrett.
sucks. It's just a chase from Thomas Jane. They end up like I don't we don't need to go. It's too long. All of this end
They're
is too
like
fucking
stumbling
long.
around. She's hauling this man who is dying of being rat poisoned all around the
By
city.
himself.
She's like, "I'm trying to put him on a train. No, he's too sick for the train." Okay, well, it's get my dying hubby out of this room, away from Thomas Jane who's following us. And now we shoot him for real. We get to shoot Thomas Jane for real. And one of my favorite bits is that some policemen come over and they're like, "What's going on?" She says of Antonio Banderas, "He needs a doctor." And they point at the guy who's been shot and say, "What about him?" She picks up the gun, shoots him again so that he's super duper dead, and just reiterates, "He needs a doctor."
That's pretty awesome.
"What about the guy who's been shot?" "Don't worry about him. He's dead. I have insured it."
That rules. And the only thing that rules more than that is the dumb shit when we cut back to her in prison. The guards come because they're going to execute her.
Yeah,
She is
they're leaving
kneeling in
it.
white because she had been praying with the priest.
Yes, and they've left it intentionally ambiguous. Is she here just for Thomas Jane's death, or is she also here for Antonio Banderas' death? They don't want us to know if he's alive or dead. And she's been talking to this priest and telling him like, "What do asking him, am I gonna see him in heaven?" And no, girl, you already said you weren't baptized. You're not going to heaven. That's not how this works.
When they come in to get her out of prison
Hmm.
and they lift the veil, and it is the priest wearing all of her clothes and looking really, really scared.
Yeah, he's like gibbering. He's not able to form coherent like words.
What did
He's like
she do to him?
I don't know. I That is the thing that will haunt me. Is that what did she do to this man? Did she sexually gratify him in a way that like he now had to renounce his
His
vows
face.
and he renounced his faith, and he's been driven mad by her feminine wiles because I don't know. We don't see it.
She sucked him off in a way that changed him forever. That
And he
he
cannot
just
reconcile it.
it's like he's been possessed. He is a man possessed.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
okay, the end of this movie is the main thing I
Mhm.
remembered. And that is, however, I'm going to describe it the way I remembered it and not the way it was presented.
Okay.
which is confusing if you read anything about this movie, makes it try and seem like this isn't what happened. But this is what happens.
Okay.
We are now, what I remembered is we are now in a white room that seems a little majestic, like a little, like everything is off. Like we're not, it doesn't seem real. It almost seems fantasy.
Yes.
Everything is white. We're at a table of a bunch of fancy men of different races playing
Mhm.
cards together, and the camera turns, and it's now Antonio Banderas is also at the table, and him and Angelina Jolie make eye contact, and she makes one of her, she makes the he has nothing, like death across her throat, and you're like, "Oh my god, they're together playing cards in heaven." Kit, are you telling me that that is not how that movie ends?
No!
Yes, it is! They
I
are in
think it
heaven playing cards
Garrett,
together
they
and cheating
are
on cards
alive!
in heaven. No,
They
I know
are
that's what it
alive! They are together, they're still bad at cheating at cards, and, we have
in
more
Morocco.
yeah, more terrible slow-mo, and
No.
yes,
I
this is
swear to God, if you look at the way that scene is shot, because one thing they have done correctly the whole movie is make the settings look realistic as to where they are. Nothing about that setting is
yeah,
fucking Morocco colors. Why are all of those specific men together? And the way it's shot is so unreal. Like nothing seems real. I swear to God, there has to out there be somewhere where the ending of this movie was them cheating on cards in heaven, but then they had to add that Morocco bit to like give some sort of explanation. They are both dead, Kit. There's no way that scene was shot to be Morocco, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
I mean, so, like, are you arguing that and this is, I will say, a better interpretation than your interpretation of the ghoul in, what was what was your
Body
one where
double.
in Body Double. So I'll give you this. You're closer to reality on this one. So your argument is that you think the original ending was that she did die on the rack, and this is shot to be them cheating at cards in heaven. And then
Correct.
somebody looked at it and was like, that's too depressing of an ending. I want the hot people to end up together for real, for real. So they added in a shot of gibbering priest in a woman's clothing
And a
to
map of
explain,
Morocco.
and a map of Morocco to explain how she got away,
Mhm.
and then just kept the same scene of them playing cards in heaven, but now it's been
Called it Morocco.
contextualized as Morocco. That's your theory.
So, like, the ghoul bit in Body Double, I was, goofing. We were having fun.
Mhm, mhm.
You cannot convince me that that's not the end shot of this movie. Nothing is Morocco colors. It is
What
now
Morocco
it
can be
is
lots of
weirder,
colors. You can have white buildings in Morocco, Garrett.
but everybody is dressed in all white like we're at a Diddy white party or
This is true.
whatever, and, like, everything is white. There is nothing Moroccan about where we're at, and the
Are you
scene's more whimsical than
arguing
the rest of the movie.
are you arguing that heaven, if it really exists, is a place where you're allowed to go cheat at cards
I
and
think that's kind of a
be with
badass
the woman
ending.
you weren't be with a woman you weren't technically married to, and even though you both committed crimes, um you get to go anyway and cheat other people who, by the way, they got to go to heaven too. Like, so presumably they were good people and their job in heaven is to get cheated at cards on. Like, that does, Garrett, what did those people do that this has to be their heaven?
All I'm saying is she had that conversation with the priest where she's like, I'll still see him in heaven."
Hmm.
How well, then what did he drink? Would he drink a fucking Alka-Seltzer and foamed at the mouth?
Well, I mean,
Like,
I presumably if he threw up real quick it wouldn't kill him. I mean, like, right? He probably, like, presumably he's fine.
I'm saying that the ending they've presented me with doesn't make sense, and the way it is shot so specifically seems to me like they are in heaven, and it is an ending where it's like a little like, "We got into heaven, but we're still cheating."
Okay.
Like
You know what,
where they're not
Garrett?
good people still.
Oh, that they cheated their way into heaven and
Kind of,
they're
like they
yeah,
conned
yeah,
their way into
yeah.
heaven.
Even though we explicitly know that he is a terrible con man, a bad like he's bad at
Correct.
lying, he's bad at reading signals, he's terrible at all of this. Garrett, I like your interpretation better because it would explain why the bit with the gibbering priest makes no sense, comes out of absolutely nowhere, and it's like did she hypnotize him? Did she what did she do to this man? This man looks like he's seen Cthulhu. He
It
has seen the true face of madness.
but did he as a priest, like, does priest have magic powers to, like, forgive her of her sins? And, like,
Yeah, yeah,
do
Garrett, that's what a priest does.
I know, but, like, she sucked that out of him where she's now good to go to heaven.
No,
I'm
no.
saying, like, I don't know any of that. All I'm saying is, you cannot convince me, and I'm saying this with my whole chest, that that final scene was not shot to be heaven.
And Garrett, come to think of it, you can shoot the extra bit of the prison scene with the gibbering priest and not have to pay your expensive actors to come back for a reshoot. So, because we didn't
Yeah,
see her in that scene, so if it was done as a reshoot to like give the movie a happier ending, that's
which I
that's
think then
plausible.
cheated on cards in heaven, they're still together.
Mhm.
And actually that's kind of a more interesting ending.
I agree actually because I thought it was a pretty cheap little cop out that like oh no they're together in Morocco happy living as fugitives even though we very explicitly made it clear that they would not be happy as fugitives that like he's not able to handle this she hates the lifestyle of like there being rats in the house and wants to be living the con lady dream and he sucks at cheating at cards. So like it doesn't make sense that they would be happy in Morocco living their sex fantasy and card cheating. It makes a lot more sense that it would happen in heaven.
I was just blown away that, like, from 2002 up until today, in my mind, if I've ever had to talk about this movie, that is how I described the ending, and that is how I remembered it. And then when I'm Googling it and see that literally nothing has said that, like, it really felt like I got Mandela affected on the end of this movie.
Garrett, what if the unrated edition that you saw has
It's
it
more
different? What
I
if
didn't
no,
even
someone would have
mm,
mentioned that that was different and someone would have said that.
I don't know, like, that really blew my mind that nothing has mentioned that. Because if that were the case, that would have even been in the Wikipedia article about it, like, alternate ending for the other cut. But yeah, I'm like, I feel insane. This is a Bernstein Bears Berns or Bernstein Bears thing.
Yep, yep, yep. Uh, Fascinating. So, you know what? In honor of Garrett's birthday, we got several trips into Garrett's the teenage mind today, and I think that's appropriate.
Thanks.
Garrett, you ready?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Scale of 1 to 5. Were you aroused?
Yeah. Yeah, the unrated cut, like, the sex scenes in this are burned into my brain. Like, this was a naughty DVD to own at 15. Uh,
I mean, you don't get to see Root, I don't think in the unrated version at least, but you do see a lot of
lot of butt.
Antonio Banderas's butt and his beautiful bare chest. He's looking real good. Obviously, Angelina Jolie looks gorgeous, perfect, and you get to see two very good-looking people having extremely acrobatic sex.
As their spines protrude through their back like they're dinosaurs. Like,
It's just like in Shoot, what's the one? Species. It's just like in Species where the spinies come out of the back.
That might have actually been another deleted scene. They had to take out the alien bit.
They were like, suddenly tonally, this really isn't working anymore. So Garrett, give it a
So
number.
unrated cut, I'm probably gonna go 5. They did tone it a little down on this one, so there's not as much sucking.
Mhm.
So the cut that I have been presented with, I will give a 4.
Okay, I
And
will
I liked
give.
watching him float on top of the water.
That was pretty great. I have to confess, that one was pretty excellent. I will say, having never seen the unrated edition, so I don't have that, lurking in the back of my brain, I'm gonna only give this one a 3.5 because I didn't feel like we got enough. I wanted to see some Thomas Jane too. Like, what we could have gotten more of him. We could have gotten sex
A
scenes with him
side
in there.
quest of him really getting in character fucking a guy.
Yes, thank you. You know what? Maybe here's a new theory for you. What if Thomas Jane's character is gay? He is just only straight for Angelina Jolie, which who could blame him? And so that's
He
why he has this singular obsession with her. It's that she is the only woman he has ever wanted to fuck.
and he's just trying to come out of the closet to somebody, and Antonio just won't
He
acknowledge
won't
it.
even acknowledge it. Even after you've kissed him, he won't respond. He
As
won't.
subtle as a punch in the face. Like,
So yeah, I would go with 3.5.
I think that's fair.
All right. Were you thrilled?
Mm, it's gonna be pretty low. I'm gonna probably go 2, 2.5.
It
I was
was.
thrilled by the horse
Yeah.
speed. Like, I was shouting "wee" with him.
hmm hmm
An
Uh,
1800s roller coaster, I
it
think they
was
called that.
definitely thrilling to see like how many different ways is Antonio Banderas going to be fucked over and lied to, and how much can he believe? Like, how much shit are you gonna feed him that he's gonna happily slurp up?
"Yes, ma'am, may I have ano" he's in the movie The Audition, just eating vomit out of a bowl and, like, get it just
He would do it. He drank rat poison for her. He
were
would
there any
absolutely.
twists that got you that you didn't see coming, having not seen it before?
No. Law of conservation of characters made it pretty obvious that Thomas Jane was going to be her ex-boyfriend, her lover boy.
There's, like,
Um,
4 people in this movie.
there's like four
Yeah,
people
you're
in
right.
this movie, and it wasn't going to be his, fat best friend. um, no, it was pretty obvious that she was catfishing him. Uh, with the coffee, it was around the coffee where I was like, "Oh, wait a minute." And then the fact that she didn't want to write to her sister, that's about when it clicked for me that like, okay, she's not who she says she is. Um no, other the twists were not all that hard to see coming. Mostly because the movie's like 2 hours long, so it spends a lot of time foreshadowing shit.
So much like, we're, like, an hour in when he finally gets fucked over
Yeah.
the first time.
Um you know what? I will say, didn't see Thomas Jane being still alive. That one it actually got
Mm.
me when he got back up. I thought there was no blood because, we were trying to make the MPAA happy.
We're shooting for a PG-13 after the
Yep.
director, like, spent a week with 2 actors, he's like, "I'm pretty sure she was sucking him off."
But blood on the carpet? Absolutely not.
They cut the MPAA is like, this is an NC-17," and he's like, "Okay, I'll make some cuts," and they come back, he's like, "What'd you change?" "Oh, there's no blood in that scene." "I see penetration.
Well, I
Go back to the cutting
got
room."
rid of the blood. You
Forgot to
stay
put the blood
there.
Uh, when we said cuts, we meant the fucking and sucking.
We should have been more specific.
Yeah, sorry, that's the day that they started making specific notes.
Okay, so yeah, I would give it a 2 on the thrillometer. Um okay. And Garrett, would you ruin your life for Angelina Jolie in this movie
Yeah.
specifically? Mm.
I'd like to think that I wouldn't be so intimidated by her that I would
Garrett,
just,
yes you
like,
would, you liar. You lied now to yourself and to our
no, no,
audience. How dare you? You would be so intimidated by her.
well, that's what I'm saying. I think I would be too intimidated by her to ever do anything, and the relationship would never start. Like, when she got off the boat, it'd be like, "You're too hot. This is literally never going to work out."
Oh
And
no, I'm not nearly rich enough to balance out how hot you are. I'm not Antonio Banderas.
but in the fantasy version of me who is willing to even try once, um, yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, you're gonna ruin your life for her. Plus, if
Mhm.
I'm going off of what happened here, kind of a free ticket to heaven.
This bitch is gonna help con my way into heaven.
I was an atheist most of my life, but I worked my way in with a hot little piece of con artist ass that got me right through the pearly gates, and and now I'm stealing imaginary money.
It's really just for fun. There's no need for money here.
You ever con Gandhi?
It's surprisingly easy.
Nobody questioned her baseball signals upstairs. Like
No,
they
it's
and no
because they
one's
don't
beating
care.
my
It's
ass?
not real money. They're just letting him win because they're like, it makes them happy. I'm just having a good time.
Kit,
Hmm.
were you falling down this rabbit hole of red flags or what's happening?
Here's the thing. Of course I am.
Yeah.
She steps off the boat and she's so pretty and she's so obviously lying to me from Jump Street. From the second she opens her mouth, she is not actually that good of a liar because she's doing her weird attempt at an accent. It's not working. I know she's lying to me. I know she is conning me out of my money, and I am drinking that goddamn rat poison. I just am. What do you want from me? Like, she's too pretty.
Yeah.
100% ruining my life. I'm
She
gonna
makes me
who's
think
gonna not? Who among us is strong enough of character? Who among us is so not attracted to women at all? Like you would have to be either an unbelievably straight woman or gay man to not want to have sex with Angelina Jolie so badly that you would ruin your life for her. Like it's impossible. I don't
yeah.
think it exists. I don't think the Kinsey scale has a spot for will not ruin life for Angelina Jolie. I don't think it's on the scale.
Because I mean, right now we're in Laura Croft Tomb Raider Angelina Jolie. This
Peak.
is the beginning of her powers.
I mean, listen, I like it's not my favorite Angelina look. I love like her in Hackers is 100% top of the line for me. I love that everything about her in that. But am I going am I gonna kick her out of bed for eating crackers? I am not, sir. I will take her weird accent and all.
And I will get spanked as she makes me lick the crackers off the sheets
Those rat poison infested crackers.
that are sitting in a puddle of my own juices.
Oh God, Garrett, why?
I'm
The thing
just
is, I would
saying.
be so insecure, and Antonio Banderas has no reason to be as insecure as either of us would be. Either of us would be worshiping at her feet because we know we are not worthy. Right? We are drinking that rat poison because we know there is no better option on this earth for us ever. Antonio should have a little more confidence. He should think more highly of himself than that. I think that once again they have cast Antonio as someone who should have been cast with a less beautiful person.
He kind of should have gone the route of Johnny Depp, where Johnny Depp is in a constant state of wanting to look uglier in
Hmm.
movies.
Yeah.
And maybe needed a weird nose or like a scar on his face, or, like some fucked up teeth. But we have a perfect specimen of a man who's
Mhm.
just like, I'm kind of shy and I need an ugly gal to make kids with.
Yeah, and I just find that completely unbelievable. He should be a little bit more confident in his ability to snag a woman. If
Yeah.
he had been a plain looking man, every single part of this movie would make perfect sense. Like, of course he's obsessed with her. Of course he is going to drink rat poison for her. But Antonio, come on, man. Give yourself some credit. You're very good looking.
Yeah, he just really needs a pep talk in his movies. I mean, what was
What?
Zorro a pud? Like, did Zorro have
No.
confidence? Am I misremembering Zorro as well? Like, was it
Antonio, please, have you always thought of so little of yourself?
great with a sword, shy with his dick?
No, he's not. Goes straight for Catherine Zeta-Jones, and he is not shy about it.
Cuts her clothes off in that scene. He's like, "I'm so sorry. Let me put them back together." And now he's like, now he's like sewing a dress, and he's like, "I know I'm such a piece of shit. I'm so sorry.
Do you want me to drink
Spit
rat
on me.
poison?
You want me to be a stool for you to put your feet on?"
You know what? Maybe that's just like his thing. And you know what? We're not going to judge. We don't
He
kink
just
shame
wants to
here.
be degraded a little.
And you know what? More power to you, man. Don't
Well,
drink rat poison. That's as far as your kink may go. Don't go that far.
I
Because that's
feel a
the
little
life
degraded
advice.
having watched this, to be honest. This one was, I don't want to say it wasn't a fun
Hmm.
watch. Like, what do you like now? Do we recommend this? Is this a fun movie to watch with some friends? I think kinda.
Kinda. Listen, get the unrated edition so that you can, treat yourself if you can. And then there are bits that are boring, where everyone's got their clothes on and it's taken its dear sweet time to do anything.
But the
So I'm not.
dialogue still sucks and is kind of funny in those parts, but
That's
it
true.
just
But at the same time, like it's bad so consistently that like the real gems are harder to pop out at you.
100%. That is absolutely the problem with this movie is that
Is
you're
that
just
it
like
has a
you're
consistent level of badness, so it doesn't give you the thrill ride of the ups and downs of a true grotesquely bad movie.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's right. I don't know. Check it
But
out if you want. We've watched better bad movies.
if
I
you
don't know.
want to watch it and just like fast forward to through some of the boring bits and get to the good stuff, we won't judge you.
Yeah, watch that unrated cut. Let us know in the comments if you thought they really mash parts in that.
Yeah, and also, do you agree with Garrett's interpretation that they are supposed to be in heaven at the end? I'm
Please
curious.
let me know I'm not the only person who thought that when they were 15. Please, as a birthday gift to me, say in the comments, leave a review, say they definitely were cheating on cards in heaven.
It's a little special gift to our boy Garrett.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening. This was a weird one. I don't know. Rate, review, subscribe at Erotic Thriller Club on Instagram or Erotic Thriller Club at gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, want to send me theories, emails about
Mhm.
heaven.
Tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell one of your many, many lovers. You do you.
As always, thank you for listening. We love you. Wet your snails, ride your time traveling horse. We want to shake you naked and eat you alive. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
God damn it, Garrett. We can't do that every time.